Hi, and thanks for joining me today. I've had a few requests to do a video for some preparatory stretches for the 135, as the position is called in synchronous skating, or as some other people call it, the Y. It's a good position you can do just gliding, or it's a great position for a spin. So we're going to do some warm-ups that you can do for that position and also do some preparatory stretches. I'm going to keep the warm-up short today because I've already done a yoga practice and I want to keep the video short. So make sure that you've done enough of a warm-up ahead of time before you stretch any time that you do, okay? But we're going to do a couple warm-up specific to this position, and then we'll work on that position, okay? So first, I have my cheat sheet here. First, I want you just to march in place, okay? We're gonna march about 20 times. This is to warm up those hips, because the muscles in your hips are some of the most important ones for this particular position. So let's just stretch out those hips, warm up the muscles. Good, that should be enough. Now we're going to take our feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart. Put your hands on your hips, and we're going to make circles with our hips. It's what one of my yoga teachers called the peanut butter jelly jar. So we're going to circle the hips, other direction, nice big circle. Again, warming up all of those small muscles around the hip joint. Other direction again. That circle as wide as you can get it. Good. Now, we'll have the arms too, because in this position we have to grab our leg. This is my favorite shoulder warm-up. You might have another one that you like to do, but let's try this one today. So take a strap or a belt or a towel, whatever you have handy. You're gonna grab onto it here. You want the strap to stay tight. Okay, we're gonna raise, I'm gonna go ahead and sit down so you can see everything I'm doing here. Raise it up overhead, and then we're gonna take it back behind. You wanna keep your elbows straight as you're doing this, and try not to rock back and forth too much. So let's go up on an inhale, and back on an exhale. And inhale, and exhale. If you feel like that's not enough of a stretch, then you can walk your hands a little closer on the strap and try it again. Just remember, you want to do it and keep your arms straight while you're doing it. And if that's too far, or if you feel like that's too tight, you can walk your hands out again. Let's do it 2 more times. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Good. So we're going to do a couple knee hug positions. Okay, so come to standing. Put yourself really firmly on your left leg, and let's pick up the right knee. Take your hands around the knee on the outside if you can grab that. Okay. If that's too much stretch for you this early in your practice, then let's go ahead and grab behind the knee, okay? For this position that we're gonna practice eventually though, it's better if you can go ahead and take the hands outside and in front of that shin, because it's gonna pull the knee a little closer into your hip socket, and that's what we want. So stretch that up. Let's do the other leg. So lift the knee up, hands in front of the shin, and pull that knee really close to your chest. So it's going to go just to the outside of the chest, like the knee is trying to point up into the armpit. Let's do the other one again. Up. And other leg. And up. Good. So, do a couple quick sun salutations to get the body going, just in case you haven't actually done a warm-up yet. Okay? So, take a big inhale. And exhale the hands together. On an inhale, take the hands overhead, Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, step the right foot back, knee down, look up. Plant the hands, maintain your breath, and exhale to knees, chest, and chin. On an inhale, slither forward into cobra. And exhale, push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right foot forward, left knee down, look up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, arms overhead, slight back bend, look up. Exhale, hands at the side. Now we're into our left leg. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up. Left knee back and down. Exhale, step back to plank. Maintain your breath. And knees, chest, chin. On an inhale, slither forward to cobra. Exhale, push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Inhale, left knee forward, right knee down, look up. Exhale, step your foot in and fold forward. On an inhale, take the arms overhead and hands down at your sides. Good. So we're going to come to sitting. Actually, we're going to come to lying on our backs. And again, you want to take that strap or belt or towel, whatever you have handy. This is going to use it. You might also need to have a blanket or a block handy. Let's just come to lying on that. Do a couple knee hugs here again too. You can bend both knees, feet on the floor, and take your knees towards your chest. Wrap your hands around your shins and squeeze them in close. You can rock around here. I love the way this feels on my back. Good. Now, take the left leg out long and stretch that right knee up into the armpit. If that's too much on your left leg, you can keep the foot planted. But again, we want to be aiming towards keeping that left leg straight, because when we go into this 135 or the Y position, you're going to want to have one leg straight. Good, so let's try the leg. So stretch your right leg out long. Take the left knee up towards the left armpit with the hands around the shin. Keep that right leg active as it's stretching towards the wall in front of you and long on the mat. Keep the foot flexed and the toes pointing back towards your shin. And breathe. Good. Now both legs out long. We're going to take the right leg up towards the ceiling. And this is where that strap can come in handy. So we're going to wrap it around the foot. Keep it stretched up to the ceiling. Keep both legs engaged. You want to have the belt here on both hands, but keep both shoulders pressing to the mat. You don't really want a death grip on that strap, but you do want to have a hold of it firmly. So keeping your shoulders flat against the mat and both legs extended long, we're going to bring this knee a little closer to your chin. You can bend your elbows to do that and raise forward. And 1, and raise back, lower back down. And 2, lower back down. Again, keep both legs super engaged so we're not overstretching. 3, 2 more, 4, and 5. Good. Now take the strap into the right hand, turn the foot out slightly, and we're going to let this leg start to open up to the floor, keeping your left leg pressing out long on the mat. And stretch this leg all the way to the side. This really opens up the inner part of the thigh and the front part of the leg that's extended on your mat. And breathe here. Let's let that leg come back up to the ceiling. Good. Now normally I would go ahead and switch hands and take this leg across, and that's a great position for another spin position. I'm going to go ahead and do that today. So taking your push into the mat with your left foot, shift the hips off slightly to the right, take the mat into your left hand, extend the right arm out to a T, and let this right leg float over towards the other side. And I am too close to the wall here, so I'm going to scoot away. And breathe. Bring that leg back up. Take your left foot into the mat. Scoot your hips back towards the center. Stretch your leg out long and release your foot from the strap and lower slowly to the mat. Now we'll take the other leg up. Wrap this strap around that left foot. Strap in both hands and just hold here for a second. So both legs are active. Feet are what I like to call flointed, so the foot is flexed, but the toes are kind of pressing out and active as well. Now we'll do those 5 mini stretches. So as you raise up, take that knee towards the nose. 1, and back down. Inhale. 2, and back down. Inhale. 3, exhale, back down. 4, exhale, back down. And 5, back down. Good. So take this strap into your left hand, turn the foot out slightly. You're going to have to scooch over because I'm too close to the wall. We're going to let this foot open up. Take your hand as far up on that strap as you can and as is comfortable without creating too much strain in the elbow without it being too stretched. As you all know, this position is as strong and as important for the shoulders and the arms as it is for the inner thigh. So keep both legs active. You can stretch your right arm out if you'd like. Or if it's more comfortable, you can keep your hand pressing on the top of that right thigh. On an inhale, using your strong inner thigh, bring that leg back up to center. Bend the right knee, take your foot onto the ground and square off your hips. I'm going to switch the strap hand, stretch out the right leg long again, shifting the hips off to the right a little, and let this left leg drop over to the right for a gentle, it's not so gentle, but for a nice twist. And look over your left shoulder. Keep breathing. Look up at the ceiling. Bring that left leg up towards the ceiling. Right foot on the ground. Square off your hips again. Release that strap. Let both feet come to the ground. And let your knees fall in together. Take your feet as wide as the edges of your mat. And just let your knees fall together. Now we're going to do a little windshield wiper with the legs. Going to go back and forth with those knees. Good. Look at my sheet here again. Okay. So once you make a little triangle with your hands and plant them underneath your sacrum, right by your hip bones. Cross your feet and rock up to sitting. If you have a blanket to sit on, that would come in handy here. Good. My hair back up into a pony for you. And we're going to stretch our legs out long. And take your hands and remove the flesh from underneath those sits bones. Put the hands behind you, sit up tall, stretching out through the inner thigh, from the inseam of those legs, all the way out to the ball of the toe. Active legs, pushing the heels into the mat, thighs engaged, and reach the arms overhead on a big inhale. And exhale, let's fold forward at the hip creases. If you can take your hands to your toes, wonderful. If not, that's wonderful too. You can use a strap to bring your feet closer to your hands, if you wish. Or what you might find more helpful is to go ahead and bend your knees so you can fold forward at the hip creases. And there you're starting to feel a little bit of a stretch in those legs again. You're feeling what it's like to get that thigh up against the chest, which is ultimately where we need it. Just a second. Got to turn off my phone. Turn it on silent here. Okay. Darn telemarketers. Okay. So again, pull your thighs up to your chest and get super close here. Now, if this feels good, then you can little by little, with each exhale, slide the feet out to straightening the legs. So on an inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, slide those feet long. Inhale. And exhale, slide those feet long. And now we're going to hold here. Keep your feet active. Legs active. This should be stretching out the hamstrings. So you want to be tightening the front of your legs to help those hamstrings release. Good, look up. And let's walk our hands back up. Take your hands behind your knees. And we're going to bring one foot in and the other foot in. I'm sitting on the edge of my blanket again. Keeping the outer edges of my feet pushing together. Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose, or also called bound angle, or a lot of kids like to call it butterfly. Okay, so as we're here, hands on the ankles, sitting up nice and tall. You want to feel those muscles around the hips rotating the thigh bone inside the hip socket. Okay, so let's take our hands on top of our knees and push up into your knees to really let those inner thighs activate and start to release. Now release that. And then take your hands below your knees and push down into the hands. And this is where the outer thighs are going to activate and now release. So as we're in this pose, you want to feel both of your femurs, both of your thigh bones shooting out to opposite sides of the room. As your back stays tall, we're really opening up that inner thigh and letting the knees start to fall towards the mat. Don't force them there. They will go over time, but work on rotating the legs here. If you want, you can take your hands to your feet and pretend you're cracking open a brand new hardcover book. And as you peel those feet out, that should let the knees drop a little more. Try not to grip the mat with your glutes, but just let those knees drop a little more. And release. Good, so let's take our hands to our knees. And to open up our feet out. So let's open up the right leg and then open up the left leg. Again, sitting on the edge of the mat. And take your feet out into a V, whatever your V is today. If this is your V today, great. If this is your V today, that's great too. This is also an opener for that inner leg. So we're going to tilt our pelvis forward a little in this pose. So take the hands and move the flesh away from your sits bones. And keeping the feet active, pushing the heels into the mat, pushing the calves into the mat and activating your quadriceps. I'm going to sit really tall here and we're going to fold forward. You might want to take a block here and rest your forehead on it. This is a good place to rest your forehead. Because your head, as you may know, is as heavy as a bowling ball. So whether you're feeling the strain or not, if your head isn't resting on something, then it will be straining your neck. You'll be using your neck muscles. Now, ultimately, you would be folding forward so your head is resting on the floor. Let's just stay here and breathe for a moment, keeping those legs activated. If you're activating the outer part of your legs, you should feel a little lengthening happening on the inner part of the legs. Good. Let's walk our hands back up. And we're going to go ahead and try those positions, the 135 position, sitting. Okay, so take your hands behind your left knee. Bring that left knee in. Just going to fold that in towards our hip bones here. And we're going to bring the right knee up to standing on that foot. Okay, you have two choices for this position here. If you know that grabbing your toe is easier for you than grabbing your heel, then by all means, let's grab that toe. If you know that grabbing your heel is easier for you, then you can grab your heel. Or I'm going to show you both. So the grabbing the toe, you make peace finger signs with your right fingers. Okay, for me, this one is easier because I kind of have short arms and super tight lats down here. My muscles are very tight there, and that's an area that I'm working on. So now we're going to bring this knee in as close to that armpit as you can, and then we're going to stretch that arm out. Okay, again, you're trying to pull with your bicep here. We're using that strong arm, stretching, planting the left sit bone, but this arm is strong, so it's pulling, 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 and breathe. Bend the knee. Keep that knee up high, closing off that hip joint, and release. Good. Now we're going to try the grabbing the heel version. So take your hand underneath that arm. So you're going to try to get this thigh as high on that upper arm as you can and grab here. Good. Now as we do that, we're going to stretch this arm out. Okay. Again, you want to feel some pressure of the forearm against the calf muscle. And we're working that shoulder really hard. So squeezing that upper arm into the shoulder socket. And breathe. Now bend and gently release. Good, let's go ahead and do that foot. So take the right foot in close to your hip bone and take the left knee up, facing the ceiling so the left foot is planted on the ground. We're going to start with the toe grabbing version. So make your peace fingers, take that toe lock on the left foot, and try to get this knee, the left knee, pointing up to the ceiling so that it's coming just to the outside of that shoulder. We're really trying to get some space in that hip joint. Now bring the knee up high and stretch. We're planting that right hip and stretch. You're pulling with this left bicep, strong arm, pulling the upper arm into the hip socket, keeping the leg engaged, the hip flexor engaged, the strong arm, and breathing. Bend the knee and bring the foot down. Great. So now we're going to do the heel grabbing version. So let's take this arm, your left arm, bring it to the inside of that thigh bone, inside of the knee, and we're going to take the arm behind that foot. Again, we're trying to get this upper arm as close to the thigh as possible, getting rid of all that space. Plant the right hip down, and as you can, straighten out that left leg and stay stretched. This arm is super strong. Keep it pulling back into the shoulder socket and keep planting down with the right sit bone and the right leg, growing tall in your spine, and breathe. Bend that knee and set the foot down. Good. Whew, that's a lot of work. Like I said, it's as much work for the arms as it is for the legs. So this is where if you want to practice that a little bit more, you can go ahead and do that seated. As I said, I've already done a practice and I want to keep the video kind of short. So I'm going to stop at that one attempt, but you all can go ahead and try that. Now, we're going to do that position standing. Okay, so let's come up to standing and what's comfortable for you. March out our legs, release those hips a little bit. This is a little bit harder, so I'm going to do it touching the wall to maintain my balance. Okay, so let's lift up this knee, hug it into your chest like we practiced when we were sitting, and toe lock. You grab here, keeping this knee up high, and then stretching it out. Again, I'm pulling with the bicep, pulling this arm in, stretch, 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 and planting myself in my left leg. Good, now bend the knee, bring this foot close to your belly, and release. Turn around so you can see the other leg here. Okay, so we'll do the other leg before we go into the heel. So bring this knee up, bring it as close to that armpit as possible, keeping your right leg super strong, firm, planted into the ground like a steel beam. Now go to your toe lock. Good. And straighten. Bend this. You don't have to bend the left arm, but I want you to pull back like you're pulling that shoulder bone into the hip socket. The arm bone into the shoulder socket. And breathe. Now bend that knee and release. Good. So that's the toe grab. If we're going to try the heel grab, I'm not sure that I can do that, but I will try and I'll walk you through it. So again, I'm going to hold onto the wall so we don't lose our balance today. If you know this is an easy pose for you, or if you can catch your balance, then you do not need the wall. I'm going to use the wall to be extra safe because I'm pretty tired because I already did a yoga practice right before this. So holding onto the wall. Bring this knee up as close to that armpit as you can. Take the arm to the inside of the leg. Again, I'm trying to get the upper arm bone on the inside, as high up on that arm as I can with the thigh bone. And stretch. And breathe. I'm coming out. Bend the knee. And release. That one is super hard for me. Okay, so let's go to the other side. Just want to hold on to the wall. Okay, bring this knee up as close to the armpit as you can. And I've not been explaining this very well. What we're trying to do is get the thigh as high up on the arm as you can. So between the shoulder and the elbow. Okay, so you want to get that in as high as you can. Okay, straight skating leg or standing leg, and now we straighten. So again, I'm pulling in with my arm. So I'm pushing the upper arm into the shoulder socket at the same time that I'm pulling the thigh bone into the hip socket. And breathe. And I'm coming out because that's hard. Knee up and come down and release. Whew. So you might need to circle out your arms, do some wrist circles. Good. Great. And that is right at 30 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and end this video, but those are some great stretches for you to do to prepare for the 135 or the Y position, Y glide, Y spiral, or the Y spin. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment in the comment section, or most of you guys know where to find me. So hope you're staying healthy at home. Thanks.